Hello everyone, this is Charlotte and this is a podcast called Chatting in Cars. It's where I talk about random topics while I drive places, usually when I'm working, but today it's on my day off. I'm gonna go... I started originally with a plan and it's changed. So I'm gonna explain that on the way, but there is a disclaimer in the start of this podcast because I do talk about sensitive topics, so if you don't want to discuss those kind of topics or listen to it, you can absolutely change it. I won't mind. I won't be offended. Some people just don't like talking about that kind of stuff. But there's a warning. And I do swear quite a bit as well because in my relaxed state I just info dump and what they used to call verbal diarrhea. So you know, I do tend to do that as well. So I'm sorry if you don't like swearing, but that's me. I'm gonna do it. The other thing is I've got a stutter. So if you don't want to hear me stutter, then sorry, but it's not going anywhere. I've tried for years to get rid of the fucking thing, but it never does. It was selective mutism, and at this point it's just a stutter. So whack me on the back of the head. Maybe it'll correct the system. I don't know. The topic for today is focus. Focus. As in getting stuff done. If you've got anything like me, if you're lucky enough to have ASD, you might have hyperfocus. When channeled at the right thing or in the right direction, it can be incredibly constructive. The only problem I have with my focus is when I try and get other people involved, and then the water gets muddy, and I have to take into other people's viewpoints into consideration, and I tend to, silly enough, unfortunately or fortunately, tend to put them first. So when I want to do something, it doesn't really work. Or if I do, I have to find a really intricate way around getting what I wanted to get done and what they would need done as well. So this is where it probably feeds into where I'm going right now. The original plan, because my brother helped me move that couch the other day. He was awesome. He went all the way to Whoop and picked up this huge, ridiculously sized couch. I didn't realize how big it was, and somehow managed to get it back to my apartment. And we didn't get it through the lift because it's way too big. But at the moment, it's sitting in the basement garage parking lot, and I'm sitting there going, and it's going to be there for a while. But we've got permission from one of the owners, the apartment owners, to leave it there. So I'm pretty stoked. I didn't really want to get it up 4 floors and then down 4 floors again. So that's going to be there when I move. But it was crazy, and it was like stormy weather and everything. I'm going, holy fuck, dude, I at the very least owe you breakfast or something. It's crazy. But as I said, my brother's pretty good. He's one of those guys that does favors, and he'll help if he can. So the original plan was to go and take him to breakfast. Then he said, I've got my 2 girls with me because his wife's working. And I thought, oh, okay. And then I just called him, and now the plan has changed. He's now got his 2 girls, who are, I think 2 and maybe 5 now. And his wife's friend's kids down. So the plan has changed. I'm not taking him out to breakfast. I'm going to bring breakfast to him because it's just too much of a hassle to get all of them packed into a car and get going. So I'm just going to go and do him breakfast. Which is fun because then I get to go and buy weird shit like croissants and stuff. Shit tins of Nutella, and I'm going to hype the kids up on sugar. It's going to be great. We're going to make pancakes or something. I don't know. It's going to be good. So I think there's 8 of them there or something. So this should be interesting. How many kids do you have exactly? Well, we got 2 plus others. Oh my god. Okay. So I'll go get them some sweets or something. I don't know. This is why I can't have kids. My kids would be huge. They're morbidly obese. So probably not the best. But I like, feeding people. That's how I show affection. I feed them. Which is terrible because people get huge around me. So the thing for today is to have focus. The topic for today is to have focus. Now that's a bit of a challenge when you get sidetracked by other people's plans, as I just mentioned with my brother. I would have preferred to take them out for breakfast. I was still on board when he's like, do you still want to take them out for breakfast? Yeah, go on then. But then he's like, there's 8 of them. I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of kids. So, it would be easier to just keep them at home. Plus the weather's shit today, so. But it would have been nice. I don't Anyway, that's crazy. The thing to see, my stutter's kicking in on Saturday, so my brain's partially fried. Thing about focus is it can get sidetracked, and you've got to really anticipate the ways in which it could get sidetracked in order to make sure that your plans go ahead in a my brain is not working and my stutter's taking over. In a progressive, productive way. I don't like my stutter. But you know, it's hard to do when you're trying to factor in everybody else's things, because you want to compromise, and sometimes it comes at a loss of what you want to do. You know, of course, you've got to prioritize what you need to do as well. That should be the base directive for the operations. If you know what you need to do, find some kind of a structure, rather than just winging it. I don't understand people who can just wing it. I don't get it. I don't wing anything. Even like this slight variation on the original plan for today is partially bugging me because I'm not good with change that deviates from what is, you know, what seemed like a logical sequence of events. We agreed to this, we do this. But of course things change, so you've got to factor in different variations on the plan. Of course, you know, even with the army, you've got a base plan. That's not even the turn off, is it? No. It is. You're just being a dick. Oh, lorries. I'm going the long way. I don't care. Right. It's easier than being stuck in my own lorry. Now, again, variations on the plan. I hate it. But at the same time, you've got to factor in these things. The thing is to get a base structure. What was I talking about the army? Sorry, I've gone off the tangent there. The army has a basic plan, or any kind of military force, basically, have a basic plan, which of course is subject to change when you get there, because you're never going to know all the variants of the equation. So you'll set up a base plan, the groundwork. You want to know who's going to be there, what you need to do, what's the directive, what base of operations you've got, what resources, and you're going to need to know the sequence of events which are logical to get the job done. Of course, this does not necessarily stick to the plan. Sometimes there are variations, and a lot of times there are variations because there's always an anomaly thrown in. For that, you've got to prep for, you know, the shitstorm which follows afterwards. So that's kind of like understanding more operations of the unit rather than, you know, participating in it. But at the same time, you've got to hold yourself accountable for what aspects you can control within that unit as a participant. That's why they get so pissed off when people go AWOL and do their own fucking thing. It's like, shouldn't have done that. It wasn't in the plan. There is no plan. The plan is purely an illusion of control. You could argue that. Or you could say it's a running part in a cycle of events. You've got to keep the ball rolling in order to get the wheel turning. Sorry, I'm mixed metaphors today. I think it's the heat of my car mixed with extreme tiredness. I'm in the second last week of the term. It's an 11-week term. I'm just fucking pwned, dude. So, I just want to be unconscious, and the winter weather isn't helping. But yeah, the good thing about having a plan is that you can anticipate the attack. You can see which direction potential fights could come from, or challenges, or obstacles, or changes to the plan might originate from. Fuck this stutter. And you can control yourself and anticipate how you need to move next. It's not just a case of if I pay attention really, really hard, things will get done. It's like, not necessarily. There's always surrounding factors which will affect how your focus interacts with the job that needs doing. Of course, for example, if you've got 8 fucking kids waiting for you and you need to get them fed, they're going to affect my focus, because I'll be sitting there going, all right, which one of yous are small enough to get in the way that I now need to factor in where you're going to be put and stayed over there while I can get the job done and move on. It's an interesting idea, but you know you've got the overarching directive to achieve, which I like. I like plans, I like projects, so it all works for me. And I do relish a challenge, so throw them in. How many more kids you got? I'm used to, that's the thing, is like I'm used to leading like a class of 30. So I will assign random tasks to kids. It's like, I know what you're good for, you go and do that. It's like, I would be a good logistics person, I think. I don't know. Once you get into the habit of being able to assign kids or participants roles in the project, it gets a lot easier, because then you can delegate tasks which are potentially in their strength area, or just a little bit of a busy work for you, and you just don't have the time, so you just go and sort them. You go do it, because I need to do this and I need to focus on this main part. I love projects. I do. I love the strategy of it. My brother, for example, though, he has ADHD, so his focus is way out. He's good in small chunks of activity, whereas I've got ASD, he's got ADHD, so he is a little bit airy-fairy at times. He's pretty good. He can focus, but it takes quite a bit. And if you get sidetracked by, you know, lots of little jobs, he will be overwhelmed by them. Whereas ASD, my brain automatically goes, okay, a lot of jobs. Okay, which one's the time-sensitive one? Okay, what do I need to do? Like right now, that will affect or kick off a series of events and a snowball effect into getting the job done that way. Is my brain automatically goes to sequencing. I don't know why. But I've discussed this with him because we're both teachers, and it drives him fucking nuts, because he'll look at something like reports and he'll just go, fuck. I'll look at reports and go, right, pick a topic, grades, comments, let's get going. It seems to be easier for my cognitive makeup to break tasks into a sequence of events and pattern recognition, sort of, okay, this needs to get done and we'll have that knock-on effect and we'll just work through the strategy, blah, 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 and get done. I can sit there for fucking hours on one project and just get it done. It is the weirdest fucking thing. When I was doing a stats course, which I actually got a good mark in, funny enough, because I know nothing about maths. But because I had that hyper focus, I managed to do well in it. I'm surprised, because I hate maths. I really do. It's the driest, most horrible topic. I would prefer sciences and English and stuff, because it's least interesting, in arts. But I'm not a science-based, I'm not one of those autistics that love maths. I hate maths. I hate it. But because this unit was important to me, say getting my doctorate at the time, I'm not still doing my doctorate. I didn't get my doctorate. I got, long story short, I had to cut it off because I got divorced, because it all went crazy. What I used to do is I used to go into the computer lab and I used to do the online content, and I'd take in a big fucking coffee, and I'd just sit there for hours just staring at the screen, working through the book and working through the content, and it seemed to work for me. As long as I can isolate myself into doing these things, the job gets done. It's when I factor in other people and things that it becomes a problem. So you'll find me, if I'm stressed or if I'm tired or if I'm trying to get something important done, I will just isolate in a room. I mean, it lends itself to people sitting there saying that you're antisocial and stuff. It's like, my mum thinks I'm completely anti-people. I'm not completely anti-people. I just like to focus in isolation. You know, I go hermit mode. It works well for me. Some people do well in network scenarios where other people can factor in their decisions and input. I can't. I prefer to be alone when I work. I know it's odd, but I find that if I start trying to understand how everybody else is going to factor into this decision or this scenario, then it becomes cloud and I can't work, because I'm overthinking situations and how people will react and what they need to do and what jobs they've got. And then I'm sitting there thinking, if I've given someone a job, have I given them the right job? So can I, can I give them a better one or an easier one so they don't fuck it up? You know, there's so many different factors where it's just better if I need to focus that I go alone and I get the job done. Prime example is when I go food shopping. If I take anyone along with me food shopping, it's just the worst, because I go in for one thing. If I know the directive, I go in, achieve it and get the fuck out. But if I'm taking in my siblings or if I'm taking in my nieces, it's a case of, what do you want? Do you want this? Do you want to try this? How's this? You're sitting there and you've walked out with like 50 things that you didn't fucking need. Just because, you know, you're trying to make other people happy. It's or at least keep them interested in what you need to do. I used to hate taking my ex-husband anything like clothes shopping. I hate clothes shopping itself most times. But knowing that he offered sometimes to go, and I'm sitting thinking, I'd rather just go alone because I know I can get in quick and get it done. And I don't want to be concerned about having to drag someone around who doesn't want to be there, who's being polite maybe, but doesn't want to be there. I'd rather just go it alone. I don't know if that's a malfunction. It's like, you should ask for help, or you know, you should need support. It's like, I don't want it. It's easier if I just go and do it. But sometimes you do actually need people, if only for like a second opinion, although I tend to steer away from that too. It's weird. I'm wondering if that's like a trauma response or ASD. Hyper independence. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into it a bit. So, if you're anything like me, maybe you need to isolate in order to make a clear path ahead to see where you want to take a project. It's always the best to sort of, you should ask for help, you should ask for clarity, you should always do research within the scenario to make sure that you're making the right decisions, you've covered all the bases, but at the same time, when it comes to the crunch, it's you making the decision. And I keep saying, as an autonomous adult, I'm hoping that you're thinking for yourself. You know, an independent adult that can function in its own right. That's what autonomous means. Most people are like, well, so in the end, you're going to have to face the consequences of your actions. If you are unfocused, you're going to find that you get frustrated. Things get clouded. Shit doesn't get done. You procrastinate a lot more because you haven't figured out all the multifacets of what needs to be done. And it gets frustrating. And you know, I've looked at jobs before where I get flustered and frustrated, and I just back up because I'm just like, it's too much for me to handle right now. I'll come back when I've, you know, sorted out my brain a bit, because I do tend to overthink, and at the same time it becomes very clouded judgment. You've got that mindset where it's too many cooks in the kitchen. If you're looking for advice from too many people or too many sources, and you're getting differing views on a topic, then you might have a clouded view of what you should be doing or how you should be reacting in certain scenarios. Which is terrible, because it's like when gossip gets spread. I hate gossip. Anyway, it's weird to watch. I like it for the anomaly effect, where you know the truth, but you look at the way people have portrayed it. I like that, because it's more leaning towards things like narrative inquiry. But when people are outright lying to self-promote, it pisses me off. Clearly there's some disconnect there. People are being dicks. And often it's time it's like, I don't understand why they're doing it as well. Like, I've figured out a few things where people will spread shit to make other people look bad and self-promote. I've seen that in action. Because you go and ask the person afterwards, and they're like, well, actually, no. I'm like, oh, you bastards. So I've seen that in action, and I thought, I can't. But this is the thing, that you go and listen to the person who said it, the original shit that they said, and you're like, I can't believe the goddamn thing you say now, because you were bullshitting about that guy. Or, you know, you're bullshitting about that person as well. So you just don't speak the truth at all, do you? And it's over menial shit as well. You're just spreading rumors. Like, there was that rumor where I got told that guy was polyamorous, and he was gay, and he was shagging half the bar staff, and, you know, all these extra things. And this is the yoga guy, by the way. And then they told me he's got a kid, but I'm like, I know he's got a kid because everybody already told me, and he was there when they told me, so I'm like, okay, so I don't know. But they spread these rumors to kind of like downplay someone's worth or drag them down. I'm sitting there, why are you doing this when you're meant to be your friends? I don't get it. This is why I don't do friendship groups. I don't think they are friends. I think they just work together and they hang out together because they've got nowhere else to be. I don't know. People are weird. Anyway, back to focus, because I completely lost the topic there. Gossip. Yeah. Gossip can make you lose focus as well. It's spreading of misinformation in order to perpetuate some kind of status quo, or to promote exploitation of the people. You can lose focus if you are believing gossip that someone has spread about someone. And they might be doing that to sort of deviate your attention from them. For example, with that yoga guy, I know that in the end, it was a case of them spreading shit about him because they didn't want me hanging around him. And I'm like, okay, but why? Because he seems nice. I'm like, I don't get it. But it was a threat, and I'm sitting there going, well, this is just bullshit. Why are you being mean? Because he's one of your friends, so what the fuck? People are weird that way. There's a lot of insecurities in that group that spread a lot of bullshit, and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't want to know this thing. I don't do this shit. I don't like this. If you hear me bitching about people, it's usually because it's true. It's like, I've seen this shit. I know this shit. I know what you did. It's true. I'm just saying it because I saw it. It's like, I'm not sweeping shit under the rug. I'm not doing that anymore. I don't like it. Because I was told, like, if you see something bad, just be polite and sort of brush it under the rug because you don't want them to lose face. But at the same time, if they're doing something absolutely horrible, I'm going to say something. I'm tired of being nice. I'm just like, I don't even like you people. It's like, I'm done. It's just mean. Most of it's just mean shit. I'm going, I don't even understand why you did that. There was no cause for it. But anyway, I'm losing focus. Sorry. I'm just bitching out people. I just don't understand. It's like, why would you do that? The best thing you can do to promote focus is to set up a structure, organize the thing that you need to get done. Once you've got a small segmented steps towards getting a major project done, for example, the small steps are mapped out. You can work in increments which are controllable, and the increments will actually, knock onto each other, and the job will eventually get done. Like what I'm doing with my Spartan project diary thing. I write a page a day, and that way I know by the end of the year the whole book's going to get done. I know I want to contribute to it daily, and so it's on my desk. The first thing I do in the morning is I wake up, shower, I get my coffee, I go to my laptop, and I write a page in the book. It's just like an organizer, financial diary. It's only about A5 size. And then I go on to do all my business stuff before I actually go to work. I know once it's in my view, I can get it done. That's another thing. You can lose focus by just having things out of your peripheral sort of thing. Particularly if you've got, what is that? Where they, out of sight, out of mind. But that's a good thing as well. Object impermanence. If you've got, it's meant to be for kids, like toddlers, because they have object impermanence, which is why you can stick a hanky on your head and they'll forget you're there, and you lift the hanky up and you go, woo, and they go, oh my God, you're back again. That's object impermanence when it comes to sort of toddler development. People have it as an adult in terms of, I put my bill somewhere and I forgot where I put it. So that's object impermanence. If it's not directly in your face, you'll forget it's there or where you put it, which is interesting. We all do that. And now these days, past 30, I do that when I walk into a room as well. It's like, why did I come in here? But if you forget that it's there, you're going to forget that you need to do it, and it leads to procrastination, because then it becomes this, it was a small thing at one stage, and now it's like, oh, I have to write 5 pages in my book, and that can make you lose focus. And so the project will get delayed, or you'll just be too overwhelming, and you're like, how am I going to catch up? So in order to save focus, you need to put in structures which are conducive to getting the job done in itself. I know leaving my little book on my desk, the spot where I go to first thing in the morning with my coffee and my habits, and I am routine based like a mofo. I'm up at 5, I get my coffee, it's like boom, 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 get the job done. And that's how I plow through my 11-week terms exhaustingly. But again, that's another perk of ASDs. Like, you're already pre-programmed to do those kinds of things. It's habitual, but it's like uber habitual. Once the steps are in place, you tend to stick with them, routine, and it helps get jobs done. It's part of the hyper-focus of ASD. I just plod a lot of the time. I can autopilot as well. When it comes to the end of term and you're just burnt out, and you've still got something like 4 more weeks to go or something like that, maybe 3, 4, your brain does tend to go, like towards the end of the year especially, your brain does tend to go autopilot, where your body's going through the motions. But to be honest, my brain just feels asleep. It's like I'll find my speech slurring, and I'll be stuttering more. I'll be still being good to the kids and nice to the kids, but my brain's just like, oh. I just want to be asleep, man. I'm exhausted. You're still sitting there going, once the second set of reports are done, you're just checked out. My brain's fucked. I'm not going past week 8 of term 4. I'm just, everything is just parties from now on in. Let's watch a movie, kids. Let's go and do this. It's like, there's no work to be done. No, you're just going to be having fun for the last 2 weeks because the reports are done and I'm fried. Okay. But I think most teachers go through that as well. It's a hazard of the job. People think you get school holidays because, oh, you get school holidays and you get to relax and stuff like that. We're trying to get out of the burnt condition we put ourselves in order to intensify the learning experience for each term, which is why we need the 2 weeks in between terms. It's not just oh, you're so lucky you get holidays. It's like, no, we are dealing with trying to heal potential brain damage for 2 weeks, and then we got to go back onto it and hit the ground running again. It's like facing hurdles. The holidays become the hurdle because it's the break in the speed path, you know, if that makes sense. It's like a nice mid-air little eye of the storm moment, and then bang, just keep going again. But if you can get your routine in place, you do tend to hold focus a lot better. It's when anomalies get thrown in, particularly for me. Anomalies, while they're interesting to watch and see how they affect other people, when they get thrown into my path and they fuck up my rhythm, it is a challenge to adapt to them, which I think is part of the game anyway. Whether you got ASD or not, you still need to be able to function in the community and society as well. So everyone faces obstacles. How you react to them is probably the best view of how you're handling being adult. Your adaptability. People who face one obstacle, lose their shit and spiral is probably not the best way of adulting. As I said before, like, some people go through trauma and they have one bad instance and their life just goes to shit. It's like they might have had a wife and family and kids and everything, or a house and all that shit, and seemingly is stable as fuck, but as soon as that one bad thing happens, then they just lose it, have a nervous breakdown. So it's an interesting thing to watch. I feel bad for people with low resilience, but at the same time, having shit thrown at you, you do tend to learn to adapt as well, don't you? Sorry, my stutter is like so bad today. I wonder why. It's week 10 of week 11, that's why. Because I'm tired. I need to sleep. So, you know, I don't some people find focus to be hard in general. My brother finds it hard to be hard in general because he's ADHD, so he'll find different methods for maintaining. He gets that I actually, tell the truth, we both get executive dysfunction, whereas he tends to procrastinate. I'll tend to background and go and finish off all my jobs. So both of us will start a job, he'll tend to wander off. So he'll start a series of small jobs and then wander off. I'll start a series of small jobs and then background to finish them off. So you start them off. It's like multitasking, unless it is multitasking, I don't know. But you're doubling up on stuff to get the job done. So I got executive dysfunction where I start a lot of little jobs, set the pots boiling, and then come back and finish them off 10-20 minutes later. It works for me. The jobs get done. Some people can do it differently, as long as you background. Oh, and what else helps me is like writing lists. I have trouble holding memory in my head. My brain is so fried today. Like, you know, some people can just remember lists of things to do. I can't, so I have to write them down, which is why I've got my heavy-duty organizer. I have issues. Now, that could be PDS. I black out a lot of shit. I just don't hold stuff in my head that well, which is weird, because I've achieved quite a bit despite it. I have trouble remembering stuff, which which is weird because some stuff stays, but some stuff doesn't, and some stuff comes completely out of the blue from the past, and you shit yourself. Particularly if you have anything like night terrors or nightmares and stuff like that, PDS dreams. I do remember some shit that way. It's not nice. So if you need to write lists, it's always a good thing. I know there's a thing going around where guys feel compelled to have lists of things they need to do written down for them by their wives, for example, and it's part of the women complain. This is very cliche stereotype. The women complain that they have to write a list for you to do. You don't use your initiative is the complaint. But at the same time, maybe guys just function differently. Maybe they do need the list, and maybe they don't retain information. They need it written down because, yeah, maybe they've got something going on with their brain too. I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that a bit more. But lists do help me, and I can go through and cross them off, and I can add. So first thing in the morning when I've got my coffee and my computer, I'm sitting there making lists of things I might need to do now or later, or in my organizer. And that way I know what's coming and what I need to do next. So it does help. I am not a person that can hold a memory or a series of things that need doing very well. And I find with age that's also happening as well. I have trouble retaining lists of things I need to do. I'm hoping it's not early onset dementia or something. That would be a pain in the ass. So, but I've had it since I was a kid. I was never good. Hence the reason I couldn't, I had trouble learning to read. Which is silly because I read all the time now. I'm always reading something. I think it's one of those things. It's like Keanu Reeves has dyslexia, but he knows all his script and stuff now, so obviously he's overcome it somehow. I had trouble learning to read because I couldn't retain the words and the sounds properly. I just couldn't retain them. It wasn't that I didn't recognize the shape of the letters or the words, but it was just retaining the information. It sucked. I don't know why. But, you know, it's to this day, I've never been good remembering stuff, so I write it down. So that might be a factor that you need to consider if you have trouble with that. Developing practices which are conducive to... Ooh, where are you going? I'm parking. Conducive to... Fuck off. I'm in the parking lot. I'm probably annoying the pants off you. To starting projects and finishing them is probably the best way to look at it. Habits will make the project progress. Structures around it will help the project progress and maintain focus. Some people are naturally traits where they can hyper-focus and it helps. Other people need a little bit more help. I'm a weird mix. I've got my list of things I need to do. As long as I've got my list, I can work on that. And then when I'm in the room isolated and I know I've got my job to do, I can just sit there for hours and do it. So it's a weird mix of things. Multitasking is probably the best way to look at it as well, because I have no trouble starting things and then coming back to them. So I'm lucky in that way, I guess. So I'm hoping you, I know there's a bit of a ramble. I'm hoping you guys have a fantastic Saturday. I'm going to have to leave it there. Take it easy. I hope if you're facing any projects that you need help focusing on, that you find easy ways to do it, and it's not too labor intensive, and it just gets easier. I find high doses of caffeine might help. Some people do, what's that? Is it Ritalin or something like that? I don't know. Some people do that kind of stuff. I don't do substances like that. I keep it natural and legal. I don't know. Take it easy. I hope you guys have a fantastic Saturday, and I'll hopefully do a podcast next week, although I might be just as burnt out as I am today, so sorry if I pissed you off. Take it easy.